Does your spiritual practice include solitude? Hi, I'm Anne-Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. So, hello there. Happy Sunday. I am talking today about solitude because just this past Friday was my birthday. And I thought, it's like those pivotal birthdays. You're like, I think every birthday is pivotal. It wasn't a big one, but it was a big one, if you know what I mean. And I thought, what can I do for my birthday this year? And I had a wonderful time spending some celebratory engagements with friends in New York City. And then when we got back to Colorado and the actual day, Anthony was scheduled to see some clients. And I thought it would be really a beautiful idea to go up to the mountains and just get away for the day. And we have constant distractions in our lives. We have obligations. We've got people around us that we engage with. And so oftentimes our spiritual journey focuses more on the communal aspect of our engagement with our church, with our spiritual community of whatever that is, connecting with friends, coming together, going to a yoga class, going to a place where you're doing things together. And while that is so powerful, and those of you who know me personally know we ran a yoga center and community healing center in New York City for a very long time. It started in 2000, what was it, 2001, and we put it into new hands in 2019. And so we love community, and I was identified as a community leader, sort of like a mom, pa of the community, Anthony and I were. And that's so critical. Community is so important to know that we're not alone. But how do we also honor the separateness that we all experience in this life? Because if we don't press that pause button, if we don't check in, if we don't make peace with this separateness, and I'll explain what I mean in a second, we're going to be in constant rejection of ourselves, constant rejection of this creation of being human, this experience of journeying through life and no one knowing what it's like to be in your shoes and you never knowing what it's like to be in someone else's. So we can be empathic, we can be compassionate, we can do all the things we can to try and seek to understand one another. But the reality of this experience, which trips us up so oftentimes, is the separateness, is being alone. So what might we uncover if we let go of this need for others to affirm our experience? Because they never can. Everybody walking around on this planet with us is human, right? So even our spiritual authorities in the institutions or the churches or the community leaders or our teachers or whomever we look up to, they are still human. And that's one of the most challenging things is when we project so much idolization onto these people of seeing them and seeing them in such a high esteem that they come up onto a pedestal. And we forget that we can connect directly with God. We can connect directly with our truth. We can connect directly with nature and the wisdom that is all around us if we're just willing to listen. So that's what today's talk is about. We're going to explore also just the benefits of spending time alone. And I don't mean you have to sit in meditation. I know the picture for today taken by the brilliant Mary Maciejewski, whom I adore and love. That it shows meditation on a beach, right? Yeah, you can spend time alone in meditation, but even sometimes our meditation practices, we're not even being soberly with this separateness. It's like we're trying to escape it or just observe our thoughts rather than meditating on actually being alone, being separate, and seeing if we can alchemize our relationship to that so that we can get the most out of life. Because it can be intimidating, it can be scary. Addiction itself comes from a lack of intimacy, not being able to connect authentically or soberly with ourselves, with pain, with reality, with God, with our lives, with struggle, trauma. We get addicted to distractions or to numbing substances so that we can escape that reality, that being human, that the pain, the gamut of emotional experiences that we have. But it's absolutely necessary if we are going to truly awaken to this miraculous essence of being human and this gift of life, it's absolutely necessary to embrace this separateness. So thanks for joining me today. We're going to be here for probably another 5-10 minutes. And I want you to ask yourself how you relate to your own solitude. Do you avoid it? Do you crave it? Is it something that you get plenty of and you really are tired of it? Think about your personal relationship to it so that you can get something out of this talk and listen from that place of there's something new to be gleaned about this, because we can always learn, each one of us, we can always learn something. So yeah, as I mentioned, I spent 18 years as a community leader in New York City with this beautiful, beautiful yoga and healing community, and it was such a teacher. I developed so many programs there with the help of my incredible students and staff, and with Anthony, was able to learn so much about leadership and how to how to how to effectively and with integrity be handle a business, a brick and mortar in New York, and hold the space for healing so that we could keep that energy pure in the space. And we learned so much being immersed in that community. And when we moved to Colorado 2 years ago, I went through such a huge change. And this is really something that all of us goes through when we leave a job, when we leave a relationship, when we leave an identity that really served us in some way. It taught us a lot. It also gave us a sense of fulfillment. It also helped us know who we are because we got it reflected back. That's what's so extraordinary. One of the most extraordinary things about our being human is that we don't know who we are without the reflection of the world around us. We can only go through our lives and connect directly with that channeling source of direct connection with spirit, with God, with source, with love, whatever you connect with that universal energy. But we don't know ourselves quite to the depth of the intimacy that is possible without the reflection of others. Now, that doesn't mean that people's reflection of us is accurate. It's just a way of bouncing off and understanding, kind of like dolphins bounce the sonar waves or sonar signals off of things to know where they're going that they don't see. They navigate and swim through their sonar, through their ability to bounce energy or sound waves off of things in the ocean. Isn't that extraordinary? So we can think of people in that way too. We need others to know who we are, and sometimes we need to live in the listening or the way that other people view us in order to step into something greater because we so believe in our smallness, right? But you've ever heard of beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Okay, and so is viciousness, so is projection, right? That's what projection is recognizing that, if somebody gives you a compliment, that says more about them than about you. But it doesn't mean you can't receive it and really feel that love that they're sending you, right? We don't want to put up walls against that. We also have to remember that our separateness includes people projecting really horrible things onto us. Man, I know what that feels like. I'm sure you do too. When people project negative things onto you, like they know who you are, they know your heart, or they know your whatever it is, that's also an expression of them, right? So remember that, to not take things so personally. That's one of the greatest, greatest teachings of all time, whether it be good or bad. Just take it like a sonar wave bouncing off, like, wow, it's interesting that I left that impression with that person. How might I grow? So solitude is something that we can't avoid. If we can embrace the fact that we are walking through this life and we're walking through it alone, right? We can bring in the sacred. Christians want to have Jesus walking right next to them. People who believe in Buddhism want to believe in this gift of awareness or mindfulness and understanding that they have a barometer going through their third eye all the time of seeing the world. And if it's resulting from resistance, then they're in a world of suffering. So whatever we're choosing to keep by our side or in our awareness or filters is something that will impact us greatly. But that doesn't change the fact that we are moving through this life alone. We're moving through this life in solitude. So how can we embrace that so we can get the most out of it? All right. Sometimes people will connect with different filters or different belief systems, different religions, different communities. But if we're using something like our mindfulness practice, or our gratitude practice, our journaling in the morning, or even our religion, our belief in something else, something greater, if we're using that to avoid the depth of our separateness in this world, there's something that we're missing out on. We are rejecting the intimacy with the way that we were created, I believe, because I don't think this could be an accident. But whatever you believe in moving through life, here's why. So many of my coaching clients, we deal with this all the time, and many of my students will speak of a loneliness, will speak of a separateness, and that they are just trying to reach or go towards oneness or glorifying connection or communion with God or communion with their partner or communion with their purpose in life or communion with, you fill in the blank. Maybe it's an addiction of some kind and maybe it's destructive. All right. So, how can we, instead of run away from that separateness towards a communion, say, this is a duality that we're living with as humans. We are both in that sacred space of oneness where we feel connected to all things, right? And everyone. We feel that connection of God moving through us and with us by our sides at all time. One of my favorite poems is Footprints, if you guys know that, where it talks about, a man looking back on his life and he sees footprints on a beach and he's concerned and he has this conversation with God and he says, "Hey God, I realized during some of the most difficult times in my life there's only one set of footprints, and other times, like, I see that you were walking with me. Why in the most dire, painful moments of my life, was there only one set of footprints?" And God responds, "It was then that I carried you." We do have that support around us. We are not alone. We still have the angels, we still have the guides, we still have the support. We have God with us all the time, right? But as humans, we do have a separate experience. That's what is difficult to wrap our brains around, is the sacredness of the separateness. It is a privilege to come into this life and leave that oneness, leave that pool of oneness, and go into that place of moving through life and journeying through life as a sojourner, an adventurer, somebody who has free will, who can experience things in life that other people aren't experiencing. They're experiencing it in their own way, but we are experiencing it in our own unique way. And what's the benefit of no one really knowing what it's like to be in our shoes? We get to use that sovereignty to create, to grow as we choose. That free will is our divine choice, our gift to navigate through this world as we choose and receive the consequences of our actions. Allow them to be teachers, allow them to push off of them to go more in the direction of our true purpose in this life. But we must heal our relationship to that separateness rather than reject it. Embracing it is so crucial. And so I'm going to go back and address right at the root, right at birth. We go through the most traumatic experience of our entire life. And trauma doesn't mean bad. Trauma actually creates a depth within us so that we have a new perspective. Not like we're going to go seek out trauma, hello, right? But the traumas in our life we can use to deepen our understanding, expand our heart, deepen our compassion, and even have it be a motivator to get on a path of purpose. So in my teaching, I focus a lot on, it doesn't matter, whatever trauma you've experienced in your lifetime is significant, and I'm not invalidating that. But the most painful thing that we go through that we never address, which is at the root of our rejection of separateness, is birth, is coming from being connected to our mothers physically, energetically, everything. We are literally inside and going through a separateness when we come into this world. And that can be so painful because we don't understand it, right? We're coming into this world, we're trying to figure out, we're trying to understand and have this initial nature, this natural way of being as children, where we're curious about the world, we're exploring, where everything revolves around us because we're the baby we need to be taken care of. So the adults in our life, take care of us and take care of our every need, ideally, right? But then we recognize that there is another nature that's being instilled in us, the domestication of the second nature. the domestication of learning how to not be rejected, learning how to be fed, learning we need to cry in order to be fed. But then as we grow up and we're toddlers, learn how to abide by the rules of the home or the rules of the parents in order to not get in trouble or to get rejected or to not receive love and acceptance. And we adopt this second nature that's learned behavior through other humans, where we're adopting others' perspective on life, belief on life, their reality. We are adopting other people's reality, and we mistake it for the capital truth, the capital R reality. Like there's one reality that everybody needs to kind of wake up to. And in doing this, we forfeit our sovereignty, our ability to create. No, but it has to happen, right? There's nothing wrong with that domestication. It's like being dealt the hand in poker. It's how you play it, right? We're all dealt that hand. We are all domesticated in this life and into being able to be a functioning part of society, right? And at the same time, once we have a fully functioning brain around 21 or around that age or so, we have the ability to create what I call a chosen third nature. We use our understanding and awareness around the tuning of our second nature, how we were tuned, what we experienced as children, what traumas we went through, how we were raised, what were the details of all the things that help sculpt the synapses and the connections in our brains that create the thoughts that go over and over, that are second nature, that create the practices that feel second nature to us, the limitations, right? And the privileges that we have the strength of this because of that, or the weakness of that, or the challenge. So when we embrace the second, third nature, it is absolute accountability because we look at how we created this second nature unconsciously, right? A lot of it was created for us. And we say, okay, how do we upgrade that belief system? And we watch our thoughts. In order to do that, we need to step away. We need to step into solitude. We need to be in that place of accepting the separateness and saying, how do I want to create my life? How do I want to create this relationship? How do I want to create my body? How do I want to create my belief system? Something feels off. I'm feeling something in discordance. This is breeding hate. This is breeding divisiveness. That doesn't feel good to me. How can I create something that feels more in alignment with honoring the God in every single human being, honoring that beautiful teacher in every single human being, no matter who they are or what they're doing? And when we have the courage to be in solitude, to be informed by nature, to listen to God, to listen to that voice, that guiding voice that's saying, it's time to leave your job. Or your body is saying, hey, and we actually can pause and listen to what's going on with our body, and our body saying, this isn't happening. This isn't happening in a good way anymore. We need to make a change in our diet. We need to move more. We need to stop engaging with this relationship in a way that is breaking us down emotionally. We need to love that person rather than try and connect with them so deeply. Maybe you just need to love them rather than hoping that they are able to see you or connect with you in the way that you want to connect with them. It's that chasing of the oneness that sometimes is the very source of our pain. So what if we embrace the oneness through our practice of solitude? Take a walk in nature. I just got back from taking a walk around the lakes, here where I live in Colorado. I listen to nature. I listen to the wisdom of the water flowing down the mountain as I was up on the top of Mount Evans on Friday. Listening to the wisdom of the guidance, the teachers of nature, and listening so that we can come back and be fully human without rejecting any part of it. We can be alone and we can listen to the depth of that solitude and the wisdom of that solitude. And we might just find something absolutely extraordinary. We're here in separateness to experience, to grow, and to create. We can't do that in oneness. So remember that as you move through your Sunday and the week ahead. If you need some support or one-on-one counseling or couples counseling, reach out to me. Until next time, keep raising the vibration. Thanks so much for joining me today, everybody.